You make me sick. You make me sick. And this is what the new atheist movement has to resort to. Flagrant and obvious lies in order to distort the public narrative and to try and bring people away from religion. You have failed and you should be ashamed of yourself. You should come out and apologize to the Muslim community and to the academic community, not just the Muslim, to the academic community for distorting the intellectual history of the medieval period in such a way. You should come out and apologize. I want to see an apology on your Twitter or whatever it is you use. Yes, because how dare you come out and lie, flagrantly, blatantly, and obviously lie about something which you didn't have the common decency to double check.
The skeptic movement, or online new atheist movement, was pretty much a militant movement against religion. It was, made up of mostly white people. It was pretty overtly racist, and it was militant atheist. It was, people like AIU, people like, a lot of the bigger people, Bill Maher, Sam Harris, Lawrence Krauss, Christopher Hitchens, all four of whom are secular atheists, some Zionist Jews, Richard Dawkins, these types, and they were militant atheists. And this movement, fortunately, died out. It was overcome and destroyed by wokeness and progressivism, again, thankfully. But since then, we have seen a little bit of an attempt to revive it. AJW, Actual Justice Warrior, is a right-wing atheist. He's pretty much against a lot of the woke stuff. He's a racist and low-key white supremacist. Most of his videos, if you've noticed, are anti-immigrant, anti-crime, which is, dog whistle for black people. He doesn't talk much about Islam because it's not something he views as a priority, but he is very much anti-Islamic. He's an atheist. He's a militant atheist, but with the rise of progressivism, a lot of these militant atheists were either forced to conform or they were pushed out of the left, and they found places in more right-wing circles. And this is what happened with Dave Rubin. This is what happened with AJW. This is what happened with a lot of other characters, Sam Harris, and then Trump came, and then they forgot about Islam and they started focusing on Trumpism and the rise of a right-wing ideology from that sphere. Let's take a look at Actual Justice Warrior. So you can see his so this is his channel. He has 250k, 58k. Says random YouTube stuff, SJW, and I'm trying to have a little fun while doing it. So yeah, a lot of these people, these atheist types, they used to grift off of anti-SJW stuff during the whole online skeptic movement or whatever. His type, AIU types, what's that guy, Sargon of Akkad, and it's usually like guy who looks like this, some overweight white guy sitting at home, sometimes with glasses on, racist. These people are very arrogant, and it's like pretty much they tend to be white supremacists, but they don't overtly express it. A lot of the times they might express it through more acceptable ways within the liberal milieu, like for example, look at this guy's videos. It's all about crime. San Francisco is collapsing. Chicago melts down over migrants. Jury refuses to convict in cop attack case. Karen lie. Sucker punch career criminal. Mayor runs from residence. So, same concept, right? Progressives, these social justice warriors, they're destroying the country, especially discriminating against white people. That's the message, right? This guy he's a right-winged atheist, similar to Sam Harris, similar to Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, similar to AIU. They pretty much express the same stuff, and it's pretty that's pretty much all he talks about, like 90%, right? Bike Karen, anti-white racism, drunk driver gets paid for no reason. It's this whole, these progressives have just gone too far with this crime. This is pretty much what I typed in, Sam Harris race IQ, because if you remember, Sam Harris used to get a lot of criticism for his Islamophobia, his imperialism, his white supremacy, and then, but it was usually dismissed like, oh, it's just criticism of religion, because within progressive circles, it's wrong. It's taboo to criticize people based off of their race, but it's acceptable to dehumanize and attack people based off of their religion. To an extent, not completely, but to an extent, it is. And this is pretty much what Sam Harris took advantage of, this little loophole, which allowed him to attack Muslims and demonize Muslims and promote imperialist policies against Muslims without overtly saying, "Hey, I hate Muslims," but he could just dismiss it as, "Oh, it's not Muslims I have a problem with; it's Islam." So, but of course, a lot of this went out the window when he went into the IQ discussion and started talking about race science and how black people were less intelligent than white people. Sam Harris's destructive IQ pseudoscience. Oh, TYT pretty much destroyed Sam Harris, and this is also why a lot of these new atheists, these racists have beef with TYT because of that. No one understands poor Sam Harris. So this one is the funniest video. I remember watching this.
A radical sovereign citizen group in America who hates the government gets a hold of a nuclear warhead. They might launch it towards Washington, but they're in Tallahassee. You know what? You don't like that example? Let's stick with the Islamists. An ISIS guy is infiltrating. We got a sleeper cell. They're in Tallahassee, but we can't tell where in Tallahassee, and they might launch against Washington. Do we nuke Florida and kill tens of millions of innocent civilians that are American civilians? Would anyone think that that was reasonable and within the range of consideration? Of course not. Those are American civilians. They count. They matter. Now, let's say an ISIS guy gets a warhead, but god damn it, he's in a sleeper cell in Tel Aviv. Thought exercise. What if we kill 10 million Jews to make sure we get that guy? Because he might launch against Seattle or San Antonio or Washington or other parts of Israel. Now, you tell me anyone who does that thought exercise about killing 10 million Jews to get the bad guys, even if they're the guys you hate, would still have a job. Does anybody think that? Okay, I'm sure some of you will say, of course, it's just a thought exercise. If a Palestinian professor has a thought exercise about killing 10 million innocent civilian Jews in Israel, of course he'd have his job. If he was a Muslim government worker in America and he had that thought experiment, of course he'd keep his job. Maybe. I tend to doubt that, right? You know why? This is a terrible thing to bring up as a maybe. I don't want 10 million innocent civilians killed in America. I don't want them killed in Tel Aviv, and I don't want them killed in the middle of the Middle East. It doesn't make it any better.
So I love how he brings this up, Jank, and I have a lot of problems with him, but I love how he criticized, really went after Sam Harris, and he really makes a good point here, right? Because Sam Harris is a Zionist, a right-wing Zionist, and that's another thing. A lot of these new atheists, they were Zionists, they still are, but their organization isn't around, as their movement is dead. So this guy, Actual Justice Warrior, he's a pretty big Zionist. He's not open about it, but he is a Zionist. Sam Harris, Zionist Jew. AIU, Zionist. Christopher Hitchens, Zionist Jew. Lawrence Krauss, Zionist Jew. A lot of these were Zionist Jews, Zionists from a Jewish background, and that's just the reality of it. And they would be essentially promoting Zionist, neoconservative talking points, but again, doing it under the guise of criticizing religion.